And we are live. This is the May 7th, 2025 Parks Board meeting. So I'm Niles, I'm the Assistant Town Manager, and we're just going to call the meeting to order in order to elect a vice chair. So this can be any member of the board can be vice chair. The vice chair basically serves in absence of the chair when the chair is not present. So a couple of other housekeeping items just so that everybody is aware. This is the first meeting for Ashley Springer and Mike Butt, who were appointed on Monday as well. Nicole, can you pronounce your last name for me?
Bocek,
Nicole Bocek, who is serving as the student intern liaison for the board. So it's a non-voting member, but she's here to learn and to participate in the discussion. And we had a good email exchange earlier. So that being said, a quorum is 4, so we have a quorum. So it is for this moment to elect a new vice chair. Yeah.
All right.
Who are we?
Hey, on a side note, Miss Ashley's sitting in the position already. She sits well.
We don't have Terry. We don't have Gail.
Yeah. You can vote people who aren't here, but if you want to permanently vote someone to be vice chair, someone still has to act as vice chair for this meeting, just so that we can have an orderly progression.
In all honesty, Mike, there's no work associated.
I mean, I'll do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sure.
Mike Joseph volunteer.
I'll do it.
There
Okay.
you go. Nominate him, Christine. Let's do it.
Okay, I nominate Mike Bupp as vice chair. Do I have a second?
And let's take a vote.
Okay.
Ashley,
And all in favor?
Aye.
all right.
Any opposed? Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So that is unanimous. So Mike, you can then take us through the rest of the agenda items.
Okay.
And he has to bring the meeting to adjourn or not?
No, since I called the meeting to order just to get to this item, so that's fine. So we can proceed from there.
There we go.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay, so next on the agenda is announcements. Does anybody have any announcements?
Not at this time. Do you have? Sorry.
I don't know if this is an announcement or what, but I just wanted to, there's some parking issue on Wooten.
Going to be
Yeah.
addressed and
Yes.
the
Okay,
works. And
figured,
Yeah.
just wanted to bring it.
Yeah,
and
it's already.
later, when I do my closeout, I'll go over what's going on.
Yeah, and this is all related to the parking that was recommended, the parking changes that were recommended by this body, and there's a parking order in place. It's more about signage, and we'll talk about that later. Thank you, Preston.
Great.
All right, next will be citizen comments on agenda items. Do we have any?
Nobody signed up.
Okay.
We have to sign
You can speak if you have comments. You can speak now. Is it on an agenda item that is on the agenda for later? Then the recommendation would be just to hold off until that agenda item, and then we can go through the presentation and then talk about it. How's that sound?
And Terry Pierce is here now.
All right, sounds good.
I have one person who would like to speak.
Sure.
Is it on an agenda item or separate?
Okay.
All right. Oh, right.
Niles, how are you doing?
Hey, good. I meant to email you, but we can go through and talk about it now. Sure, go ahead.
And in fact, I walked through the park
Yes.
and saw that it's already been taken care of. Just want
Yes.
to let everyone know that I was in touch with Niles last week.
Could you state your name and your address?
Oh, sure. Brian Hundertmark, 19504 Halmos Road. Okay. I was talking with Niles last week, and I was talking with Preston last week about how in Halmos Park there are the Eco-EV signboards, and how they had really fallen into misuse, and some were missing and such. and I got in touch with Niles asking if they could either be restored, replaced with something else, or removed. And I was walking my dog this morning and saw all 14 of them are gone now. So Preston has been on top of it, I can see. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody.
Yep, I saw the same missing signs this morning on my walk. So,
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I meant to email about, just to mention that Preston and I talked about this morning, and he'd taken care of it, and so we saw fit for that, so we would proceed.
And once again, thank you. Citizens are my best eyes. We knew they were kind of getting down. It's always a funny thing dealing with Eagle Scout projects and other projects. It's great they do it, then they go to school and they move, and it's like, it just, anyways, thank you. For
And in fact, I had spoken with the parents of the Girl Scout who had that as a project, and they said that they'd be happy to see those things taken out.
And when I saw that included in you already did the legwork for me. I was like, I don't waste time when I get it. That's like, let's get it going. So anyways, I'm glad it worked out for you and everything. And it actually, I think aesthetically and maintenance-wise, it really nice getting those out of the way. So thank you.
And it should also be easier for your crews to cut the grass now.
Tom.
Right? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
thank you, Brian. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any more comments? All right, so I guess the approval of the minutes. Everybody?
Do we have enough people to approve the minutes?
Yes, we are. We had a conversation about this with the planning commission, and even though not everybody who was here can vote on it, but given where we are, it is possible just to go ahead and vote on them, because two of the people also permanently left, so that we can go ahead and do that then.
Is anybody who was at that meeting?
I think Terry can.
I can.
Yep.
Okay.
So motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Yep.
Second?
Second.
Do we get a second? We did.
I wasn't here, but I can second.
I can second. I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can second.
Yep.
So I guess we vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed?
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You're an
I guess. an
Yes.
abstention.
Mhm.
I guess I'll be an
Yeah,
Yeah, it would
so
have to
two,
be
so it'd be three.
Three abstentions?
We need at least we need I think it's at least 3 to vote for it to pass.
Okay, we got 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. hmm
Alan,
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's fine. Yep. This is the minutia of dealing with approving minutes. Basically, it has to be a majority of the people who are there is what it becomes.
Right.
So,
Okay.
303, I think it is.
yep.
Okay, then old business, a speed study on Spurrier.
Yes, so I'm going to just sort of go through a little bit of what we talked about last time, and then I'll go into the specifics, and then if there are questions, we can go from there. So first, at last month's meeting, the board reviewed the current conditions on Spurrier Avenue between West Willard and General Custer Way. Staff explained to the board that there had been several complaints about speed in the area and asked about additional speed, and that the residents had asked about additional speed bumps on Spurrier Avenue. As per the speed hump policy, the town requested that Montgomery County conduct a study, the results of which are in the agenda packet that was shared. And I'll share a couple of the, share my screen and a little bit about that. And staff reviewed the results of the speed study during the meeting. The town also sent letters to residents on Spurrier Avenue to invite them to give their input at the May Parks Board meeting. Parks Board then can make a recommendation to the commissioners about whether to add speed bumps to Spurrier Avenue. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is read through the specific memo about the speeds and give you some more background. In March 2025, staff received multiple requests regarding the addition of speed humps or bumps on Spurrier Avenue between West Willard and General Custer Way. Per the speed hump policy, staff conducted a speed study of the area. The Montgomery County Police set up its speed trailer in ghost mode and not in ghost mode. You'll see that in the results. And the speed limit of the area is 25 miles per hour. Montgomery County collected the eastbound data from March 27th to April 3rd and the westbound data from April 3rd to April 10th. During this period, there were 1,504 eastbound trips and 1,390 westbound trips, averaging approximately 215 eastbound daily trips and 199 westbound daily trips. The average speed on the eastbound was 21.5 miles per hour, and the average speed westbound was 21.6 miles per hour, with 75% of the trips below 26 miles an hour eastbound and 74% westbound. The town's speed hump policy requires the town to look at a few factors in determining whether to install a speed bump on a particular street. These factors include examining both the speed limit and the operational speed, as well as proximity to areas such as schools, parks, playgrounds, and the placement of sidewalks. Based on this data, there appears to be little excessive speeding in the area. Only 24% eastbound and 25% westbound of traffic exceeds the speed limit. The speed limit on this stretch of Spurrier Avenue. The town's speed hump policy requires that 85% of the speeds, 85 percentile speed, I should say, and we can go to that in a second, be greater than 10 miles over the speed limit for the town to install speed bumps. Less than 1% of both eastbound and westbound trips are 10 miles over the speed limit. Furthermore, Spurrier Avenue is near the high school, so there is some, traffic related to the high school, but it's only connected by a walkway. There's no vehicle access, so you're not having a lot of parking issues or people coming in and out from the high school from that side. These factors mean that cars are not sharing the road with pedestrians. So, with the sidewalk being on one side, you don't have people in the road with cars. That's another thing to consider when adding speed bump. Are there people who will be walking along the side of the street versus being on the sidewalk? Now, there's only one on one side, but that's just a factor to consider. And then these factors mean that cars are, however, there is probably some cut-through traffic to the high school. So I wanted to make that awareness too, just because of its proximity. Based on the data collected and the conditions of Spurrier Avenue staff, Spurrier Avenue staff is not recommending to install additional speed bumps on the stretch of Spurrier Avenue. Now, I just want to show, just give me 1 second, and I'm going to share my screen for 1 second. And just going to give this a visual. This was in the packet for the Parks Board. It's just going to take a second to come up. And I'm not quite sure why this is not showing right now. There we go. Do you see it now? Okay, good. So just to make a note here, so this is for example westbound. There's this sort of color-coded system. So compliant, the green means those that are at the speed limit or below. Low risk are those basically just above, within 1 and 10 miles above the speed limit. Then medium risk are those 10 miles or above, and then high risk is 20 miles or above. So of the 1,390 trips westbound, there are only 4 trips between 1 and 10 miles over the speed limit. So 4 of the 1,390. And you can see most of the trips, the overwhelming majority of them, were compliant, and then 360 were in that 1 to 10 range. And again, as I talked about, a good chunk of those was below 26 miles an hour, so you have a few that are just over as well. And so that's sort of a good visualization of this. And then if you look at eastbound, you have a little bit more. You have 11 trips out of 1,504 that were in that above 10 miles an hour risk there. So it's a very small percentage of the total. And so I just make this point just because the effectiveness of speed bumps often has to do with what the speed is and what we're trying to get it down to. So if you have a lot of people that are say around 25 miles an hour and going down to, speed bumps are designed to be 15 to 20 miles an hour for you to go over them. So you're not bringing the speed down that much based on the prevailing speed. And that deals with speed bump effectiveness. And so you can see, again, this is eastbound. You can kind of see this red line is the 85th percentile speed. So there are a few instances where it's a little bit higher. Again, not quite 10 miles an hour here. Late at night and early in the morning, we have actually even much, much less because of the time of night. So there are some where it's slightly higher, but you can see that 85th percentile speed is usually right around the speed limit. So that is just a general overview. And so if you have any questions, please let me know.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sir?
Yeah,
can you
yep.
step up to the microphone? They can't hear you.
Hi. I'm Jay Larkin. I live on Spurrier Avenue. I've lived there for a couple of years now. What did they record the speed 24 hours a day?
Yes, they did. Mm-hmm.
And those were these trailers that they had sitting on the side of the road that looked like it was a sign telling you to move over, there's road work ahead?
It's similar to that. Yeah, they would have times where it would tell you what your speed were and times that it wasn't. And so
It never told you what time your speed was.
okay.
It never
Okay,
did.
okay, good. So yeah, I'm looking at the data now. It just had the display off. Okay, that's
Yeah, no.
sorry. I thought they had
I'm-
done both, but
I'm just, people do speed on the street. We've seen it for 25 years. We used to be able to go to the high school. We used to be able to get the license numbers and go to the high school, and the high school used to take care of the kids speeding. But that stopped about 10, 15 years ago. The high school wouldn't help us out anymore. So they speed in the morning going to school, they speed at lunchtime, and then not too much after school, but they do speed. Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't know how, I don't want speed bumps. I'm here to talk and say there's got to be another way to slow the kids down, but you have a study in which we haven't seen the study. And,
Yeah.
and I can tell you that the sign never turned on to tell you your speed.
yeah,
Ever.
okay.
And so on. And think, does Spurrier Avenue have a speeding problem? Certain times of the day, yes, absolutely true. But is that study that you have for public record that you can share with us, or my eyes weren't good enough to read
No.
the screen?
Certainly, I can share this with you. Totally. No, that's not a problem, and I'll show you that. And I'll make a couple of general points that there are other things we can do. One thing that I think is worth looking at is potentially posting. We have two speed indicator signs that we have sort of posted at different places right now. One is on that the town owns. One is on Bodmer. The other is on Elgin right now because we want to collect data there. But that's one of the thoughts about addressing it is moving that at least for a period of time to Spurrier to again show people their speeds and kind of doing that as an enforcement mechanism that doesn't change the physical or a calming measure, excuse me, that doesn't affect the physical layout of the road. So that was one thing that I was going to mention. The other thing that I was going to mention is I've been in talks with a few of your neighbors about this issue. And the other thing that was brought up was rolling stops and things like that along the road. And that's more of a Montgomery County issue in terms of enforcement. And that's one thing that I am going to bring up directly with the police commander for our district, District 1, about as part of the places they check in town for speed enforcement and for traffic enforcement of adding Spurrier Avenue to that rotation so that we get that coverage, especially during those school times, and see if we can work out something that way as well.
I noticed that in Montgomery County, there's these vans that they park on the side of the road.
Yep.
You know, once Johnny or Mary gets a half a dozen speeding tickets to show up at their house, you know, maybe that would help.
Yes, and
I don't, but we have tried for years and years and years to try to get the speed down on Spurrier. And now that we've gone through resurgence and there's a tremendous number of children back in the neighborhood, and I mean a ton of children like there was 25 years ago. You know, when everybody moved out, it really didn't really care, but now they've all moved back in. But again, I'm just concerned about the study and what's being done to curtail the issue.
Certainly, certainly, and I appreciate where you're coming from. And I'll share this with you directly so you can see what it's doing. One note to note is that part of the reason to have the display off is to try to track people's speeds where they're unaware of how fast they're going. Because sometimes people will slow down because they see their speed, and we want to track the speed of the road as it is now. Other times, people will see the indication of their speed, try to speed up. We've had issues, not so much here, but in other places, where people try to see how fast they can make the sign go. And obviously, that's another way in which it sort of distorts the data. So I'm not disagreeing with the approach. That was just part of the reason for the ghost signs, to have it in ghost mode. But I also appreciate where you're coming from.
The other thing is the street's not that wide.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you can have students don't park on the street like they used to. And there were so many people parking on the street at one time that they put up signs and say, you can't park on this side of the street anymore. You've got to park on the other side of the street. So the street's so narrow that if you have a car parked on the right side and the car parked on the left side, you can't drive down the middle.
Right.
So,
And certainly, and I think that taking that into consideration as well, and that's another part of one of the factors to look at when installing speed humps, for example, is that narrowness of the road. Because when it's narrower, when you park cars, the speed bumps take away parking and things like that. So that's another thing to consider in the design of a road. But I appreciate where you're coming from, and as I said, I'm trying to work on what other things we can do. But this was the request that was made of the town, was to look at speed bumps first, and so we have a policy to go through that. So I appreciate that.
no problem.
Thank you.
Right. Any other? Yeah.
Yep, we have some more now.
Yes.
Sir.
Hi there, I'm Danielle Smith. I live on Spurrier also. And I appreciate you taking our concerns seriously, because I was definitely one of the ones who submitted a request to the town. I would like to say, though, that as soon as people see that display, I don't think it's an accurate representation of the speed, because people slow down the second they see it. And you just kind of acknowledge that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Even on
That can
ghost
happen as
mode,
well.
people still think that they're being tracked, monitored, whatever. So I don't think that the data you collected was really a true representation of what we see on our street every single day. I
Right.
have a 1-year-old, I have a 3-year-old, I have a 7-year-old, and I have a 17-year-old who just got her license on the street. So she's been made very much aware of how her driving impacts everybody around her. So she's been taught to drive slow. The 7-year-old, 3-year-old, and 1-year-old are still learning that cars are dangerous.
Yeah.
We just had a neighbor move in behind us with a 4-year-old, and we had a close call. It was extremely scary. There's children, as Jay said, they're all up and down the street. So I appreciate the study. I am grateful that you're taking our concerns seriously. And if speed humps or speed bumps aren't the solution, I would like to continue researching what will help
Right.
our street and the speed.
And I think all of that I think is part of a process. I think that's one of the things that I'd like to see you, maybe we move one of the speed indicator signs that we have to Spurrier. I mean, there's a lot of effectiveness just of speed signs. There's a lot of studies about it that shows just having those can reduce the speed by about 5 miles an hour. So it's not as dramatic as a speed bump, but also is a tool in affecting it. Also looking at police enforcement, as I talked about. And then I think looking at if there's anything else we can do to kind of to address this and to make people aware. I know there is at least one child at play sign on that stretch of Spurrier, but if there's other things that we can look at as well. And so that is not to say that this is the end of the conversation about Spurrier, but just to say that this is the process to go through in terms of a a speed hump because of the fact that it is sort of more a bigger change to the road than other type of changes.
Right, okay, and I appreciate that, I just wanted to get that out there, my
Of
thoughts,
course.
and,
I actually have a question.
Sure.
Is there
Yeah.
a specific time that, I mean, obviously, the most traffic is in the mornings and when the kids come and the kids leave. And I'm not saying it's just the young drivers, but
not,
just so we can dial this in a little bit more minutia, is there a certain time frame that you guys, at night, obviously, people, I don't know. I just need feedback from you guys.
sure, yeah, I'm outside after school hours,
Right.
so probably 3:30 to 6, I'm
Okay.
outside with my kids.
Yep.
I see people speeding that entire time.
Okay.
So, and I think high schoolers are a big portion of it, but there's a lot of older drivers, it looks like parents, that their kids have grown up and they've kind of forgotten that families play outside, there's young children outside.
Right. And I live in Hunter's Run, so I see, and right off of Hughes, so I definitely see the speeders, especially in the morning,
Yeah, people rush.
Unfortunately, the middle
work
school
or
parents
whatever.
always run late, but, eventually, but anyhow, I don't want to dive into that. I want to take care of Spurrier first.
It's in the morning, it's in the
Yeah,
morning most time.
and
You know,
I
go
did-
to school and come back from lunch, the ones that are running late.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not there at that time of day,
Yeah.
but you are,
Not
yeah.
that early.
Yeah.
Well,
and,
But
and I just want to state just from the data. So, look, for example, westbound, there's about 40 more trips at 7 a.m. than any other time during the day. So the highest traffic is in the morning. That's not necessarily when there's the high, you get the highest average speed is a little bit variable, but just based on the data, that's the time of day where we're seeing the most traffic. The highest, sort of speed, compliance by hour is sort of universally around the same in terms of what we looked at in this study. But I think the key thing about volume is there.
and if you also can tell, if you sit outside of the high school or, when the kids get out, whether it's at lunch or the end of the day or in the morning, you can see that they gain momentum, would be a kind word. And
Whipping around the corner coming up.
so that's what I was gonna kind of touch on. My name is Paige Somerville. I also live on Spurrier.
Okay.
And my sister is Danielle Smith, and those are my nieces and nephews she was talking about. And I also have a 4-month-old, I have a 3-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old. And there's been so many close calls. I can't even tell you. My heart has dropped so many times. Just having my kids jumping back, and my kids will say like, "Whoa, buddy, slow down!" Like there are so many cars speeding through that street, and I live on the corner of West Willard. And that is a highway. So I don't know how we get that on the agenda next. I guess I can submit the way I did, because I was also one of the people who submitted. But West Willard people go fly down West Willard.
And West Willard has a different challenge, which is that the speed limit changes on West Willard. So from outside of the town's jurisdiction, it goes from 40 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour in town.
Right.
So that's one of those things where there's also there's a little bit more we can look at there in terms of speed because of that change and trying to make sure that people recognize the change that they are coming into as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate you taking this seriously. So that's all I really wanted to say.
I have one more.
Thank you.
Is there a way
Yep.
that we can get the high school on board, that if one of us are on the street and someone speeds down the street and you get a picture of a license tag, that the high school can, they used to take away their parking privileges?
So, yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
No, that's,
We have a police officer now that they are always watching the West Willard Street up and down, but it's only a short section of it. It's like from the entrance of West Willard down towards the high school, but then on Spurrier Avenue, it's not watched. So I could voice that complaint to them and say that we would like another member of, like another administrator or another police officer come and watch that section of the street, especially during lunchtime, because that is one of the prime times that students are coming and leaving, and that is like a short section of time, so they're going to be rushing in and out in order to make it back to their classes. So, I can definitely, on like the behalf of the school and the students, I can, voice that and say that there are parents that are worried about children at play that would like to have,
Without the police car, just walking down the street so that he doesn't alarm anybody and he can see the true life every day on Spurrier Avenue.
And Niles, have we done that in the past? I mean, is that,
So-
we'll have to reach out to Mark Carruthers?
Yeah,
or-
I think the next step there is to talk to Mark, and we have a good relationship with all the principals and on a variety of things. I think this is just something we can state. The other thing to mention with the high school right now is, of course, there's also the construction, which means that there's more volume around that area too, with things in and out. So I think that's something that we want to be cognizant of as well. Not in terms of this issue, but in terms of monitoring overall the traffic there. So that's a conversation we can definitely have with Mark and see how he wants to address that as well.
Well, and just real quick, we,
Can you come up to the mic it's easier for me to hear?
Real quick. The audio system doesn't pick up people when they're in the audience speaking, and it doesn't get recorded. So.
Yeah.
My name is Kim Ketchum, and I've lived on Spurrier, 19944 Spurrier, for 33 years. And, like 25 years ago, a group of us had brought up the whole speeding, and that was 25 years ago. But I think the other thing to remember, too, is, with the opening of Stony Springs and that coming across, the cutting through now on Spurrier has increased incredibly, coming from Hoskinson, coming down to go to the high school. So the volume of traffic has just increased tremendously. And again, at 7:30, you just know, do not go near the street. It is, and again, there are parents that are stopping in, the side and letting off kids, and you've got cars trying to go around. So it's really become quite we've always called it Spurrier Speedway, because it's just, they take that volume, they come around that corner, and then they go up, and they don't stop at General Custer. That's a huge place where they're just not stopping. So we watch our granddaughter in the morning for a little bit before taking her to Little Learners, and it's just amazing to me how community members are just not stopping, and they're just avoiding and doing all kinds of things. It's like we're a community, we need to look after each other, and again, I don't know who's speeding down the street. I think a lot of parents are taking their kids into that high school, especially in the morning. But I think the cut-through now has been Spurrier, and I think the volume has just increased tremendously. So, again, that's just my take. So, thank you for listening.
That's why we're here. No, I appreciate the input. We have a stop sign at General Custer, right, in Spurrier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How
And that's
often does
part of
that
the-
get blown through?
Literally all the time.
Okay.
And the other thing is,
That's when people don't park in the middle of the intersection.
well, but then you get
Yep.
to the other part of Spurrier,
Yep.
the bottom part, and you've got so many
Cars.
cars now parking on the side. It gets, trying to get up there, it's crazy.
Yep.
During those busy times.
And can I just say, I have one resident sent me videos of just constantly people failing to stop there. So that's another piece of input that we got. So that's something that we can have conversations about. As I said, again, that type of thing is a police enforcement. So that's where we have to talk to the police about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
We can move on. I'm just a liaison. I just show up. No,
I'm just a rookie.
that's okay.
Follow up on the dog park relocation.
Yes. So at the April Parks Board meeting, the board took a tour of Stevens Park and reviewed both potential locations for the dog park in Stevens Park. This tour led to questions about the suitability of both sites for the dog park. For the site closest to the Stevens Park Pond, the board noted a lot of activity between the tot lot and the existing pavilion and the baseball fields, making it less than ideal for a dog park. However, this site would have excellent parking access. The second site, closer to the lagoon and Plant Road, is, and it should be, I don't know why it auto-corrected there, but anyways, is further from the parking lot than at Stevens Park, but is more separate from the other events in the park. The park board discussed adding parking to that part of the park along Plant Road to allow direct access to the dog park. Since the previous meeting, staff, myself, John, Wade, reviewed easements related to the Plant Road to determine if it was possible under our existing agreements with property owners. This research has revealed several concerns regarding additional parking at this location. One is the current residents and the easement holders have expressed concern already about the amount of traffic and the amount of issues that come in and out of Plant Road. There may be engineering challenges. The road is very narrow. It's about 20 feet wide there. And so having two-way traffic, already we have pull-offs on that road for our vehicles to traverse it, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to sort of envision regular traffic like we have from the dog park. So for these reasons, staff does not recommend adding parking at this time. However, staff recommends that if the dog park is constructed in this area, that additional wayfinding be added to the park to indicate its location from the current parking lot at Stevens Park. So that would be our recommendation. And then in the packet, I provided you some images, and I'm just going to share my screen one more time to show you where we're talking about. And it's going to take a second here. Let me just go all the way down. Okay, so this is the site. This first one is the site closest to the pavilion and everything, and where we were trying to locate it. And there, over here is the stormwater management sort of feature for the pond, and then here's the pavilion and the bathrooms and such. And then this is the other location which we liked. And you can kind of see Plant Road kind of comes through in right here into the lagoon. But one of the issues here is just that it's just not wide enough, really further down, not on this picture, but to accommodate that parking. So I wanted to share both of those things with you, and if there were any questions on that.
Well, most of us have walked that, so we're pretty familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's the newbies.
Yeah.
I know.
That's okay. That's all right. You're not allowed, you're not supposed to have that, that walk.
That's part of-
When we did that in April, I think?
Yeah, April.
Yep.
And if you want to ever have a tour of the parks or things like that, Preston and myself can accommodate that, and we can go through some of these things with you as well.
That way guys can actually get a visual of where we're discussing that area.
In the past, I have taken people, like, we'll be 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll take you to all the parks, all the ponds and everything.
That'd be great.
So if you have, I'm pretty flexible in what time, so when you just give me a call.
Okay, great.
And say, next Thursday, what can we do? Or I'm just using it
Yeah,
as
yeah,
a thing. And then we'll set a date, and I'll take you through our facilities and our parks and everything.
That'd be fantastic.
Okay.
Thanks, yeah.
Yep.
So I kind of questioned it.
Yeah.
The first spot
Mhm.
by the pond. What was the concern with the foot traffic? Obviously, people bringing their dogs from
Summer
the
camp.
lot to the.
Yeah.
Summer camp is right there.
Summer.
So summer camp is done right there. The baseball diamond is right there. Yes, here, I can put it back up if you want.
Then we were playing-
Hitting foul balls into the,
Into the dog park. And it just, once we were physically walking it, it became this issue of how are we going to do each thing? So let me share it again, and I can sort of explain this a little bit more. And then, so looking at it, if it's going to let me do it, I might have to do it from here. So looking at it, you can kind of see you have the baseball field right here. Let me see if I can try to do it on here. In baseball field, here, I'll do it on this one. Baseball field here. And you have the pavilion down here that people rent out and things like that. The bathrooms are here. And then there's just off screen is where the tot lot is for this area too. So there's a lot of traffic, a lot of things going on and to manage all in this very small area. And on top of that, we have things like the summer camp and things like that happening in that same location.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I guess I just want to, keep reiterating that many of the people that use the dog park are not able-bodied necessarily.
Yeah.
And so
There-
even figuring out how to get them from the parking lot to the dog park is something we should.
Right, and that's something we can look at. There are paths to, already created paths around that area, which means that that are compliant in terms of, there's a part where you can go down by steps, but there's another path that you can go down that doesn't include steps and things like that. So there's already access. It's a question of, is there a way that we can generate a little bit more access there? That might be something that we have to look at through this process. And again, as I sort of mentioned in the cover memo, we still have a little bit of time. The design of the community center that's going to take the current dog park location isn't going to begin until 2028. So the construction, probably won't be until 29 or 30. So we still have some time to work out some of these things over time. But this was just something that we have to be aware of as we're going through as well.
Yeah, that was part of the discussion about putting parking down in this corner. But the path that Niles is talking about, you come in from the ball field and around.
I've lived
Yeah,
around
okay.
down quite familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
You're the one.
And so I think that's all of that is valid. And I think once we get to the actual design phase, we can talk a little bit more about these concerns and how we want to do it and sort of go from there.
Okay, anything else? New business?
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything else under new business right now, unless somebody from the board has something.
Oh, I think the only other new business is probably the comment that I saw on Facebook about the parking on Wooten.
Yeah.
But
So,
I'm sure that'll be in the superintendent's streets board report here.
yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. So,
Approved the minutes yet?
Yeah, you did that a while ago.
Okay.
You were snoring.
I wasn't snoring. I was just reading my work stuff.
Yeah,
right.
mhm.
Okay, so no new business. Preston, Parks and Streets.
Yeah, we had a couple things. Weather threw a little hiccup. We were supposed to have the pickleball courts at Stevens, the final dressing, the painting of it done on the 28th of April. It's been shifted to May 28th now. And they were we got ahead of it, and
yeah.
they were aware of it. And I can't wait to get it done because that just kind of puts the finishing touch on the park. I think it's going to look pretty sharp down there. Another thing, the parking, there's been several parking issues that staff has been looking at. We had the one on Wooten Avenue, and actually we went back, I think Wade did, because there was the commissioners had passed a proposal or passed something
A parking order. I can talk about that in a second if you
for
want.
Wooten Avenue. And I originally put it from our well house or at Brooks Park to Coalhouse. But in the actual order, it actually says we can take it actually further down the road. So I have ordered the new signage. I just got a notice, it's on the way. It should be here Thursday, Friday. As soon as I get it, the signs will be up. And then that's just the one side. They still will be able to park on the other side, but we won't get the pinching effect.
Yeah.
This will take it up to Fisher then, or?
We don't
how
take
far
it
up?
quite to Fisher, we will take it to the entrance to the
Entrance to the
townhouses.
townhouses.
And then legally, they can't park within 35, is it 35 feet of that stop sign?
I think isn't it 25 feet, John?
25.
25.
25.
Anyways. And I did also at the same time, I did purchase some no parking signs. But we've been trying to get away from signage because you drive down here, we got sign pollution. There's a lot of signs. So what I did I wanted them in my back pocket. There's a lot, we're going to block, all of a sudden they could jump across and start parking there. Because what it did, we marked the one area and then they just moved. So I'm sure we'll do it here. And I'm hoping
20
the
feet.
proximity of the stop sign will do it.
And once we have those signs up, that's another thing to encourage residents, if they see people violating those signs or things like that, to call the non-emergency line for the police. Again, that's a police enforcement issue, is that parking. And I actually had a conversation with the new commander in our first meeting about parking in that area. So he's aware of that, and I think we just need to coordinate a little bit more. Again, once we have the signs up, we can give him the detailed information so that we can also approach it that way as well.
And there's another issue on Hughes Road. Niles and I have been, I brought to attention that for some reason, every once in a while, we get double parking there. And so but it's kind of gone away.
Yeah.
Well,
It's gotten better.
If it
It's gotten
becomes
better.
an issue, we'll have to go through the commissioners again to get another.
And that's where, when we talked about that in one of the previous meetings, we also talked about potentially issuing warning letters or things like that, or reminders to people, even if it isn't signed, to give them a sense of that it is being monitored and we're looking at this as a way of trying to address it as well.
One more question. Are we painting the curbs yellow as well, or no? Just signs?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Not at this time. We had not planned to do that.
And-
That could change, and because that whole area is going to be resurfaced at some point. And once that's done, we'll make a determination if we're going. If we still have problems, we probably will move forward. But if the problem goes away, once again, there's no need to have
Sure.
the yellow on it. We'll have to-
And as a question of sort of policy or legal policy, yellow curbs are not a substitute for signs. There's some court cases involving that question, and you basically have to have it signed in order for people to be found liable for illegal parking.
It's just
So
a visual cue. That's,
yes, exactly. I just want to make it clear, just sort of that
With
part.
signs and the yellow, I know what you're
Yes.
saying, have both of
Yeah.
them, just to keep people alert.
right.
Yeah.
Quick question, do we have, in previous history, have we had a grace period for once the signs go up and people continue to park before code enforcement?
Well, our code enforcement does not do it.
Okay.
Right, that's the police. So the police can
Okay.
decide what to do, but that falls under what is called police powers. The town does not have police powers. So there's
Within my 27 years, I've never seen a ticket.
yeah.
Park your car there tomorrow, we'll figure out how that. Don't say that, no, I'm just kidding.
But I'm just saying, that one thing, this town, we have never had a large police presence, which is fortunate. I'm just saying.
But it has been more
You
prevalent
think about, we
lately.
got some speeding, which is unsafe, we have some parking, but we don't have the problems that Down County has, which takes our police force out of here.
Correct.
And it's hard for those police to justify, okay, we got some parking on Wooten Avenue, or down at Langley Park, or down in Germany at Gaysburg, you got serious problems. And so hopefully with the signage, and if, as a community, we have normally had good luck with, once we get the signage up, they normally fall in suit well. So we'll see what happens.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So on Wooten, the additional no parking signs will be from Coalhouse up to the townhouse entrances?
Yes,
And they'll still be able to park on the other side of the road?
yes, on the Campbell Park side, yes.
And it is it still the 3 to 5, or is it always?
So the no parking is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That was based on the vote,
So
on the
one
recommendation of the
side will
board.
be 3 to 5. 7 to 5.
Okay.
But then the other side, they can park there all day.
Yeah.
All right, good, President? All right, Town Commissioner report.
Well, we actually went through quite a bit with Preston. Obviously, a lot of the street cleaning was happening. I think I saw it in my neighborhood yesterday, maybe, got done. I was gone for a few days, so I'm pretty sure the fire hydrants have been completely flushed out for the most part.
Yep.
Guys, obviously the staff has continued to cut grass, maintain all the parks, planning, everything's good. Considering the rain, how we doing with dryness of fields and everything?
Well, ball fields are ready to go today.
Yeah,
We started first thing this morning, even though it rained yesterday, because right now, Terry knows, they're trying to make games up and.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we
Yep.
have a tournament this weekend for PA.
Yeah, for softball.
okay.
Yeah.
So, we're going to try, because it's supposed to rain again tomorrow evening and partway through Friday. So I've made arrangements with one of my guys. He's going to try to get in Friday. If it stops midday Friday, he might be able to get a fluffing in the afternoon, depending on the wind and sun. I can't get him in the morning because his daughter has a softball tournament. But he said as soon as that clears the board, he'll get it. He'll come back down and see what he can do.
Right.
Because it's a 2-day tournament.
Perfect.
On there.
I know our sidewalk at West Willard went in. Huge kudos from a lot of people in town. A lot of patience, but it's good. Kids can walk up and down safely from for lunch. Go through some of these things that Preston hasn't touched on. And I'm
Mission tournament's coming back.
coming to the end of the month.
May 30th. And I've been stocking the ponds. It's going to be a good year. I'm just. We should be, and that's at the middle school pond. There'll be some more notices put out. For
Yeah.
And I do
Came back. I'm glad it's there.
don't catch them all. Catch and release. I know we talked about the Trails Working Group, Niles.
Yeah.
Commissioners were presented with that. Obviously, we, as a park board, had to go through the prioritize which trails we want, budget. I know everybody's working diligently on that.
Yeah, and it probably should be worth noting that that the commissioners passed the budget.
We did.
At the last meeting. So starting July 1, a few other parks projects will be going forward and such like that. So.
And I know we're continuing to, I did present the pavilion. We did have some feedback. So it is a topic. We just got to get through some initial designs, some costs. We have a lot going on in this little area over here in Whalen Commons and Ferry Crossing, and so our town's pretty busy. But we're good. We had the going back a little bit, not parks related, but we did have the Tim from Mid Atlantic Builders came in and discussed some of the future building here on our property. So that's good. Go ahead, now. So you want to say?
No, I was just going to say there will be additional park land as part of that. There will be a park there as well. So
there is. So
once we get further down the road there, we can talk about that more.
So other than that, that is pretty much what we have. I mean, you've hit the dog park, sidewalks, parking issues, trail working group pavilion, but it's been pretty steady. I mean, the commissioner's been working obviously on getting our budget approved. The good old water issues, which, are very well reported on, I think, very positive. So, got a lot going on in this little town. You'd be surprised. Everybody should visit the main page of, the town hall page and really educate themselves on the comprehensive plan, what we have going on in the future, present, and even the past. So, and that's what I have.
And this past Saturday, we had our first event of the year.
Yep.
At Springfest. It was one of the most entertaining ones I've ever seen. 3 storms, 3 different storms come through, but our public, they weathered it in the beer tents rather well. And we did lose a few tents on the first shot that came through. Then we had the rain, and then we shut it down a little early because when lightning shows up as bad as it was, we had to air. I mean, we can't play with that on there. But I thought Tara did a great job. She really has been good for our program all the way around. I have to give her props. I mean, she goes beyond. I hate to say, we were stealing flowers throughout the town. I was sneaking into Parson's backyard, getting wildflowers. We couldn't get enough for the bouquets that she made and everything. So, anyways, she put a tremendous effort into it, and still, even with the rain and everything, we did okay on that. We to get the first one out of the way, and I think our next one is red, hot and blue or something like that. We have a one in June that goes, and so we'll start to get busy here in the park systems.
One thing to update on as well, just to note, is that we did have a bid opening for the Whalen Commons wiring project, which was a Parks project there. Due to sort of the bid we got in and some other priorities, Preston, John, myself, and Wade had a conversation this week, and we're going to go out and rebid that actually with some different specifications. So we're still ongoing and working on that as well.
Hey, Al, what's the timeline for this new property on the corner?
The CVS property?
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting ready to break ground, you know.
Yeah, so
Digging up a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
there.
I have a meeting Monday with them.
yep. Mhm. And so they've already had their pre-construction meeting, but they're starting to get into that process. So in the next, few weeks, there might be more movement there.
Okay, thanks. Somebody asked me, so I
Yeah.
bring it up.
No, it's a good question.
Oh, that's fair.
Hmm.
Anything else?
I'm good. I'm complete.
Motion to adjourn? Somebody?
Nicole, any pressure for your first meeting?
I do actually have something else.
Perfect.
Okay.
The new sidewalk that was implemented like near K2, that was really helpful. But then on the other side of the street, there's a lot of kids that walk in that grass area coming down West Willard. And I don't know how that process works with trying to get a sidewalk built, because I know it took a while for the new one right there on the corner.
Yeah. So the short answer,
That would be helpful too.
yeah. So the short answer there is we're working on it. We already have a rough plan for what we want to do. There has to be a survey that has to be taken of all those properties. We have had conversations with 2 of the 3 property owners that we would need easements on, and they've both been very supportive of adding a sidewalk there. So it's just a matter of going through that process. So it takes a little bit of time, and we've had other priorities in terms of the survey work that we've had done and things like that. So over the next few months, we'll pick that up again.
Amazing, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Well, I want to make one more comment.
Okay.
My more comment is, I want to welcome our new park board members in, Ashley, Mike. I look forward to, it's new for me too. I've only been here since November, so I've learned a lot. We got a great town staff. Please, work with us and ask questions. We're always able to share knowledge, what we have. So don't be bashful. And, like I said, everybody's got our contact information. So, just, again, don't forget us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
A second?
Okay.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
No abstentions? We're good to go. Oh, what time?
It's 7:58.
Thank you.